Raider Nation, what is the deal, man? Once again, it's your guy Panama Fargo, back to y'all live with another episode of the Raider Rundown. And today we're gonna touch on the Jimmy G injury, Tyree Wilson injury, and much more. You're not gonna want to miss it. Stay tuned, man. So let's get this theme music rocking. Let's get into it.
As a young guy, I had a dream that someday I would build the finest organization in professional sports.
Raider Nation, what is the deal? Once again, you watching the Raider Rundown. Make sure you tapping on that like and subscribe button. Even hit on the little share button or the notification bell to get updated when I drop some of this content, man. Training camp is here. Football is back, man. And you know I'm going to keep y'all updated with all things Raider news, man. So I know I might be a little late to the party, but you know I had to touch on the Jimmy G injury and I had to touch on the Tyree Wilson injury. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. So let's go ahead and start with Tyree Wilson, all right? And I see a lot of creators out there. I see a lot of people on Twitter really tripping about, you know, the Raiders' first-round draft pick this year not practicing or being placed on, I believe, what is the PUP list, right? And I want to dispel all that. Everybody that's tripping about that, if you're tripping about that on my channel, you feel me? What the thing is, right? And this is where I get my resource. You know, I get my resource from Raider Scout and certain beat reporters. But it is said that they just putting him on the PUP list so that he can be ramped up. He can really get healthy for week one. It's nothing to really be concerned about, all right? Now, we know this regime is at the end of the day, real cautious with their injured players, right? So at the end of the day, now we got to sit here and we have to trust that McDaniels and Ziegler process. We saw it from last year. They're real cautious when they have players that they know are going to play a significant role and, you know, are dealing with some health issues. Tyree is no exception to that. So at the end of the day, all they're doing with that is just placing him on the PUP list so he can be ready to go. You know what I mean? He can really get active with his recovery and he'll be ready to go week one, right? Same thing with Jimmy G. Now, Jimmy G's foot injury is a little different than Tyree Wilson's, right? With Tyree, they're taking more of a proactive approach. They're taking more of a let's be very, very patient with him, although he may not need that much patience, right? With Tyree, they're taking the patient route. Now, with Jimmy, they're kind of forced to take that patient route. Now, what do I mean by that? Jimmy had his foot surgery in March, right? So at the end of the day, he's still healing from that. Now, what type of foot surgery was it? Now, today I was on Twitter. I'm going to put the link on here so you guys can see it for yourselves. But at the end of the day, I was listening to a doctor explain Jimmy G's injury, his foot injury, right? And basically what he's saying is that Jimmy G broke a number of bones in his foot, right? Leading into his the middle of his foot there. Also, right, tore many ligaments across the foot. So at the end of the day, he had to have screws put in. He had to have a lot of shit done to his foot so that he'd be able to play this upcoming season, right? So we got to keep that in mind. Had the surgery in March. Now the timetable is for him to start week one. But I will say this, right? And another creator on here, Mitchell Wren, said this same thing, and I'm going to echo it, right? If Jimmy Garoppolo is not ready by preseason, right? Or it's the end of preseason and he's still on that PUP injured list, right? Now we got cause for concern. Because at the end of the day, they can say they're being patient with him all they want. But me personally, I'm sitting there saying there has to be a point in time where your starting quarterback gets rapport with your starting receivers, your starting O-line, everybody, right? And the fact that we're still going through this Josh Jacobs turmoil, he's going to be needed to lead this offense in a much bigger role, right? With Josh, I'm not going to say Jimmy's role is diminished, but at the end of the day, you have a superstar running back there. Now you don't have a running back that's proven, you know what I mean, that you can hand the ball off to. Now teams are really going to be focusing more on Jimmy, which means that he's got to get his ass in gear. He's got to be throwing to these receivers. And that's the only thing that's really, really scaring me right now about Jimmy's injury. Now, if he's ready to go week one, you know, or he's still, you know, ends up practicing for training camp and gets out there, takes a week just to recover and then gets out there, I'm not going to really trip. As of right now, through 1 to 10, my panic meter right now is at maybe a 5, 6, right? I put it at a 6. I'm at a 6 with my panic meter for Jimmy. For Tyree, my panic meter there is about like a 2, right? It's about a 2. I think he's still going to play regardless. Now, the one that kind of scares me, I didn't really know about, is the Byron Young thing, right? Now I have to really research what his injury is, but at the end of the day, they're saying it's some sort of upper body thing. But he's going to be able to still be able to practice and get into training camp once he gets in there. So at the end of the day, is it something that we need to be cause for concern about? I think the most concerning one is Jimmy G. Tyree will be straight. Byron will be straight. Everybody's going to come in here and get to rocking and rolling, man. So at the end of the day, that is the news for the Raiders injury. You know what I mean? And it's not that bad when you really think about it at the end. But like I said, the starting quarterback needs to be out there for preseason. Now, when you're looking at that, if he does not play preseason, what do we have? We have Chase Garbers, we have, Aiden O'Connell, and we have Brian Hoyer. Those three don't really give you confidence going into the season, right? If those is going to be your quarterback room going into the season. Now, we don't know what Aiden O'Connell is. We know what Brian Hoyer is, and Chase Garbers, we have an idea of what that is. So at the end of the day, we got Jimmy for a reason. Josh and Dave staked their whole entire, I'm not going to say their whole entire, but they staked their future for this season on this man. And if he does not come out here and perform and play, we're in serious, serious trouble, right? But at the end of the day, I still think that he's going to come out here and perform. He's going to come out here and play. And I think that the Raiders are going to just start catching their stride in preseason, man. So once again, that's all the injury news and updates for the Las Vegas Raiders. Training camp starts on the 25th. So make sure y'all tune into this channel because I'm going to keep you updated with all things Las Vegas Raiders. Make sure you're hitting that subscribe and like button. Hit the little notification bell. And remember, man, I can't get monetized without y'all. So all help y'all can give me, man, is much appreciated. Make sure you're hitting all the buttons. And remember, I always keep it authentic from the clouds to the ground on the Raider Rundown. Man, where's my goddamn outro?
As a young guy, I had a dream that someday I would build the finest organization in professional sports.